Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron channel. I'm Steve Shaw. In this video, we're going to talk about 5 amazing exercises that will completely transform your physique. Before I get into this topic, if you guys would like a custom workout, check out the link down below. Custom workouts are one of my most popular services, and they are only $39. All right, so the 5 most amazing muscle building exercises that will transform your physique. This is going to be a kind of a tongue-in-cheek video, but I want you to stick around because it has a big point. Have you ever been on social media or you tuned in to a YouTube video with the title something like this? I have 2 amazing exercises that transformed my back, or 5 amazing exercises that transform my physique. Yesterday I was perusing, I was scrolling, I was not really doom scrolling, I was checking my Instagram, and I saw a post by an influencer that said, here are 2 amazing exercises that completely changed my physique. And I knew immediately that this was a steaming pile of nonsense. What I want you guys to understand is when you see content like this, 95% of the time it's not true at all. It's just something somebody slapped together to get views like this on YouTube or on Instagram. Now, I've been lifting for 40 years and I've been in the fitness industry for quite a long time, and I've seen many of these videos and many of these types of content. And while they are good for getting people to click through and good for getting the hopes of people up, and generally the exercises are pretty good in and of themselves, the bottom line is that the promise that these exercises are magical and they completely transform my physique is usually not true at all. And let me explain. Now, after I'm done, I'm going to explain to you what you need to focus on truly to build muscle. Now, the piece of content that I saw basically had lat pull downs as one of the exercises, and this was a red flag. Like, I don't really think this guy was just sitting around mindlessly doing back work and all of a sudden added in the lat pull down and his back size blew up or exploded. That's not generally the way it works. The only way that is going to work, like adding in 5 magical exercises or 2 magical exercises, is if your training sucked to begin with. And that is the big point of this video. The only time you're going to tune in and watch one of these videos, the only time inserting this magical exercise in the equation is going to work is if before the exercise, your training completely sucked. It stinks. It wasn't giving you value, and it's not the addition of the exercise that was a game changer. It was the fact that before you were training horribly, you were training ineffectively, and then suddenly you added exercise. It wasn't the exercises. It was maybe that you kicked your training up a notch or into a proper gear to actually build muscle. Are we making sense here? If you're struggling to build muscle, I want you to hear what I'm going to say. Adding in an exercise generally isn't going to be a game changer. That doesn't mean you might not stumble upon a really good exercise and add it in and like, hey, this is giving me a lot of value. But if you aren't doing dumbbell rows and you add them into the equation, you might find a lot of value in them, but it's very rare that the insertion of 1 or 2 exercises is going to be a complete game changer when it comes to development. Now, I'm not telling you guys not to watch these videos because a lot of times they can bring up some really valid points or interesting points or quality exercises. It's really the false promise that we have to be careful of. We have to focus more on what I'm about to tell you, because the points I'm about to tell you truly are the important things you need to remember when you want to build maximum muscle. It's not about 1 or 2 exercises, because lifting is a long journey. You want to have a quality selection of exercises for each of your body parts: chest, back, shoulders, quads, arms. So you want to have a reasonable selection of exercises with a reasonable progression opportunity. Each of these exercises, when you go in and hit your workout, you need a progression approach for each of these exercises. You need a way to make them more difficult, and the stupid simple way of doing things, or the effective way of doing things, is focusing on beating the logbook or adding a rep over last time in the lane of hard training. So this is truly the magic. This is what is going to take you from not gaining to gaining. But I want you to remember, if you're frustrated and you're not building muscle mass, yes, you can try one of these exercises. You can do like this influencer said and try hitting lat pull downs, and maybe it will be a game changer. But that's rarely the case if you don't have all the pieces of the puzzle in place before trying a new exercise. Building quality back muscle or shoulder muscle or chest muscle is really going to come down to having a quality selection of exercises. This means 3 or 4 exercises per week that target that body part. And if you currently have that in the mix and you're not growing, adding in one exercise like the lat pull down isn't going to be a game changer. Something is broken in the process. Something is broken with what you're doing right now. And that is what we need to fix. Now, I will end with a story that does speak about adding in exercises and how it can sometimes be a game changer. I was training for a very long time, for about 20 years, before I really started using deadlifts or VersaGrip Pros, which are grip assistants, which allowed me to dumbbell row and barbell row a lot more weight than I had been using previously. So since 2006, when I picked up the deadlift and when I picked up VersaGrip Pros, which allowed me to use a lot more weight on my dumbbell rows, my pendlay rows, my T-bar rows, even my lat pull downs, that has made a major impact on my back training. But the point of this story is simple. When you insert something new, it truly has to feel like a game changer. I spent 10 years in that world with these changes with deadlifts and VersaGrip Pros, and I know that kicked my back up a notch because I have visual proof. One final thought, a lot of times in these videos when you see these game-changing exercises and in the short run they magically saw a lot of mass, always remember that no exercise, no training tool is going to make a big difference in the short run. Always measure your arms and legs, keep track of your measurements so you can gauge size increases, nail your bulking, take progress photos every month if you can, and do everything you can to gauge true progress. Before you guys go, I want you to watch this video on setting up or structuring the perfect amount of volume to build muscle. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.